Good afternoon all. Welcome back to the transistor logic gates. In the morning section, we have discussed low power Schottky transistor NAND gate, TTL NAND gate, and low power Schottky TTL NOR gate. So hope you understand the LS-TTL NAND gate and LS-TTL NOR gate. So do you have any questions regarding the LS-TTL NAND gate and LS-TTL NOR gate? So do you have any questions regarding the morning session? Low power Schottky TTL NAND gate, low power Schottky TTL NOR gate. So we will continue the transistor logic gates. So in the morning session, we have discussed the low power Schottky TTL NAND and NOR gates. So now we will discuss the standard or the earlier TTL logic families NAND gate we will discuss. As it is stated that there are many different TTL logic families with a range of the speed, power consumption, and the propagation delay. Previously, we have discussed the representative transistor logic family, which is the low power Schottky, the TTL NAND gate, and low power Schottky TTL NOR gate. So in this session, we will discuss the standard 7/4 series, which means the original 7/4 series here, the original TTL 7/4 series high-speed NAND gate here. The first logic family in the TTL is the 7/4 TTL. And by changing the resistor values in the TTL logic circuit, so there are two more logical families were realized. So one is the 7/4. So one is 7/4 HTTL, which is high speed TTL logic. And the another one is 7/4L TTL, low power TTL logic. So the 7/4H high speed transistor logic gate. So for in TTL logic family, the basic logic circuit is the NAND gate. So that's why again we have considered the NAND gate only. But here we have considered the other TTL logic family NAND gate here. So which is the 74H00, 74H00, which is high speed TTL NAND gate. And here the circuit shows the circuit diagram for 2 input high speed NAND gate 74H00. As we discussed that for understanding of the circuit operation, the circuit is divided into 3 functional elements. The circuit is divided into 3 functional elements here. The first one is input stage, where it consists the diode AND gate. In this case, we have the transistor AND gate. And the second part is the phase splitter. And the third part is output stage. So here, from the circuit diagram, if you see, in the low power Schottky transistor logic NAND gate, we have the Schottky diodes as the inputs in the input stage. But if you see in this circuit, we have the multi-emitter transistor here. Multi-emitter transistor. It is a two-input NAND gate. High-speed two-input NAND gate. So it has two inputs. So therefore, the emitter has two emitters here. The emitters of the transistors having the two emitters. The transistor having the two emitters here. So here the AND gate is realized. So here the NAND gate is obtaining by the inverting of the AND gate output, that is realizes the NAND function. But instead of that Schottky diodes in the basic, so this was the first 7/4 series gates, all these are. So in the morning session, what we have discussed, it is the TTL logic family, which is after this 7/4H and 7/4L. But now we are discussing the earlier TTL logic families, in that the 7/4H high speed two input NAND gate. So in earlier, they were used the multi emitter transistors. So here you can increase the number of emitter terminals as the number of inputs are increases. And even if you take the equivalent circuit of a transistor, the transistor is a three terminal two junction semiconductor device. So which means because of the two junctions, two diodes can be realized internally. So the two junctions are emitter junction, that is the junction formed between the base and emitter. It can be viewed as one PN junction diode. And the junction between the base and collector, it can be viewed the another PN junction diode. So that is collector junction. Emitter junction forms the one PN junction, and the collector junction forms the another PN junction diode. So now when you have a multiple transistor, when you have a multi-emitter transistors, which means additionally you are providing the one more PN junction diode to the transistor here. See this one, emitter 1 and the emitter 2 here. So now this transistor, the equivalent circuit of this multi-emitter transistor can be viewed like this here. Now you see, it is quite similar to that of what we have discussed in the morning session. In the morning session, we have realized a diode AND gate by taking the two diodes, which are the Schottky diodes, because the TTL logic family is the low power Schottky. But it is the standard and the earlier version. So where they have considered or they have used the standard PN junctions, ordinary PN junction diodes. So now the first functional part of the circuit, if you see, where the circuit has the multi-emitter transistor, which is similar to that of the two diodes. But now we have the additional extra, we have a one diode, which is the collector junction diode. So the multi-emitter transistor forms the diode AND gate. And what is the significance of these diodes here? Here we have the extra diodes, say D1 and D2. Let's say the diodes are D1 and D2. So these diodes are called the protect diodes. These diodes are called the clamp diodes. And actually they do nothing in the operation, but these diodes can be used to protect the input stage of the circuit. If there are any excess negative voltages are happened, so they will be bypassed. They will be bypassed by this protect diodes here. So this is about the first functional part of high-speed NAND gate. And we know the second part of the circuit is the phase splitter. So in this phase splitter, the transistor Q2 acts as the inverter here. The transistor Q2 acts as inverter. The Q1 transistor, it forms the two input diode AND gate, and the transistor Q2, it acts as a inverter. So now the combination of the transistor Q1 and Q2, it realizes, it obtains the two input NAND gate function. It obtains the two input NAND gate. And here we have the resistors 760 ohms and the 470 ohms. These are the resistors, and using the transistor Q2 and the resistors, these two resistors, the 760 ohm resistance and the 470 ohm resistance, using this, so it forms the phase splitter. It forms the phase splitter. And now coming to the third part of the circuit is the output stage. And in this output stage, we have the transistor Q3 and Q4. The transistor Q3 and Q4, at any time only one transistor is on. So therefore, the Q3, Q4 forms the push-pull output. It forms the totem pole output here. That is, the transistor is Q3 on, the Q4 will be off. If the transistor Q4 is off, the transistor Q4 will be on here. So that is push-pull or the totem pole configuration. So here the transistor Q3 and Q4 forms the totem pole output. And the transistor Q5 and Q3, it forms the Darlington pair. Darlington pair. So when we have a Darlington pair in the circuit, the Darlington pair, it provides the higher current gain. Therefore, the capacitive load or whatever the type of load that is being connected to the output of the circuit, it can be effectively handled by the circuit. And also, you can also see the significance of the 58 ohms here. So just the circuit is it is just identical with the low power TTL NAND gate here, but there in that circuit, in the LS TTL NAND gate, we have extra diodes and extra transistors. But in this circuit, if you see, the input, the first part has a multi-emitter transistor with a protective stage, with the protective circuit, and the second stage, it has a phase splitter circuit, which is formed by the transistor Q2 and the surrounding resistors 760 ohm and 470 ohms. And the transistor in the third phase, in the third part of the circuit, the Q3, Q4 forms the push-pull output, and the Q5, Q3 forms the Darlington pair. Therefore, the circuit has the higher current gain in the output. As a result, that it can easily handle the capacitive loads at the output. And so here the transistor Q2 output depends. The function of the transistor Q2, the working state of the transistor Q2, it depends on the output of the transistor Q1. That is the voltage at the collector terminal. The voltage at the collector terminal defines the either the transistor Q2 is in on state or the transistor Q2 is in off state. Depending on the on state of the transistor Q2, either the pull-up network or the pull-down network will be activated. So here the Q5, Q3, it is a pull-up network. One way we can say that it is a pull-up network. It pulls the output to the logic high state. Whereas the transistor Q4, it acts as a pull-down network. It pull downs the output to the logic 0 value here. So this high-speed NAND gate is identical with the LS TTL NAND gate, or you can say the LS TTL NAND gate is identical with the two input high speed NAND gate. But there is a difference in the circuit components. In the LSTTL NAND gate, we have used extra transistors and extra Schottky diodes here to improve the performance of the circuit. So this is about the circuit description. And now if you test the functionality of the circuit, if you test the functionality of the circuit here, so consider the truth table of the NAND gate, and the NAND gate has a logic output only when sorry. So the NAND gate has a logic output state only when all the inputs are at the logic high state. If the inputs are logic high state, it has an output of logic low. So now consider this case. Let the inputs are at the logic high state here. Logic high state. Normally, the multi-emitter transistor conducts only when the emitter is at the logic low value. If the voltage at the emitter is logic low value, then only the transistor Q1 will be conductor. Otherwise, it will be in the off state here, that is in cutoff state. So here, in this case, we have applied the two inputs as high state. So because of this high state, the transistor Q1 is in off state here. The transistor Q1 is off, and so the VCC voltage Q1 is off, and the voltage at the collector of the Q1 or the base of the Q2, if you observe it, the voltage is very small voltage here, because we have not connected any external voltage or any power supply voltage to the collector of the transistor Q1. You are directly connecting the collector of the Q1 to the base of the Q2. So therefore, the voltage at this point, it may be a very low voltage. It is maybe in the order of 0.2 and 0.3 voltage, and this voltage is insufficient voltage to drive the transistor Q2, because the A and B are at the logic high state. So therefore, the emitter junction is reverse bias here. The emitter junction is reverse bias, and so therefore the transistor off, and the collector junction is also reverse bias, because it cannot force to on state, because the emitter junction is off state. So therefore the emitter junction, it cannot force the collector junction to turn on. So the collector junction is also the reverse bias, and there may be a very low voltage which is in the order of 0.2 volt. So this 0.2 volt is insufficient to drive the transistor Q2. But if you see, the transistor Q2 collector terminal is connected to the VCC through the 760 ohms. Because of this resistor, there will be a voltage drop across the collector terminal VC, and this voltage is sufficient to drive the transistor Q5. And once if the transistor Q5 is turned on, which in turn results to turn on the, which in turn results to or which in turn leads to turn the Q3 transistor to on. So therefore, because of this voltage, because of this collector voltage VC, the transistor Q5 is on, and further the transistor Q3 is also drive into the saturation region. So when the transistor is driving the saturation region, so at the output, the voltage at the just a minute. So when we apply the logical high states, so the transistor is off, and because of this it is conducting. Because of the VCC, the Q5 will be conducting, and that furtherly ons the Q3. So therefore, when this transistor is on, so the output is pulled to the high state. The output is pulled to the high state. Is there anything wrong? Just a second. So if you take two logic let the input are at the logic low states. Because of this logic state, because of the logic low level values, so whichever the emitter value is at low, the transistor will be turned on. Even if one terminal at the logic low value also, the Q1 transistor will be getting into on state. So when the transistor is in on state, so the VCC is current will flow through the input side to the ground. So therefore, the voltage at this the collector of the Q1 is the voltage at the collector one of the collector is maybe of 0.2. Okay. So when this voltage is a very low voltage to it is not sufficient to drive this Q2, then because of this the transistor will be drive. So therefore the output voltage is set to 1 here. For the combination of low and high input, still the Q1 transistor is conducting. Still the Q1 transistor is conducting. So therefore the voltage at the base of the transistor Q2 is insufficient value. So the Q2 will be in off. The Q2 will be in off. Q2 will be in off, right? So, but the voltage at the Q2 collector is because of the VCC, there will be a voltage drop, and that again drives the Q5 and Q3 to on. So again, the output is set to high here. Now take the last condition. If you take, so if the two inputs, if the two inputs are logic high state, because of the high state values, the Q1 transistor will not be conduct. It will not be conduct, and because of the VCC and this voltage because of this VCC and the voltage drop across the 2.58 will be turn the collector junction, or due to the voltage drop across the 2.8 maybe appear at the base of the transistor Q2. So that that will be drives the transistor Q2 into on state. When the transistor Q2 is in on state, so the voltage at the collector of the Q2 is low voltage, and the current flowing in the emitter terminal is high current. So when the higher emitter current is flowing in the transistor Q2, so Q2, so this causes the transistor Q4 to on. This causes the Q4 to on. So thereby the transistor Q3 is off, because already the voltage at the VC, already the collector voltage at the Q2 transistor is a low value, which is a insufficient voltage to drive the Q5. So so here the Q5 is off state, and if it is the off state, then furtherly the Q3 will be also the off state here. So the output is pulled down to the low value here. So now see here, if you observe the circuit operation, So when you apply the logic high values to the input, the Q1 transistor is off. So therefore, because of this VCC voltage through this 2.8 kilo ohm, there will be a voltage drop, and that will be available at the base of the transistor Q2. So that voltage will drive the transistor Q2 into on state. So when the transistor Q2 is turned on, the voltage at the collector of the Q2 drops here, and the current flowing in the transistor Q2 increases, that is emitter current. And this emitter current is a high current, and this current is drives the transistor Q4. So here the transistor Q4 will be enter into the on state. When this transistor Q4 is turned on, the output voltage is pulled down to the logic low value here. That is when both inputs are at high state. Now take the remaining two states here, remaining combination of inputs here. When both inputs are low, so when both inputs are low, the transistor can easily turn on the transistor Q1. Therefore, the voltage at the collector of the Q1 transistor is almost a low value, and that value is not sufficient to drive the Q2 transistor. So when the Q2 transistor is off, the collector voltage of the Q2 transistor rises to a higher value, which is approximately to the VCC value. Approximately to the VCC value, not exact of VCC, approximate value. So because of this collector voltage, the transistor Q5 and Q3 will be turned on. So when the transistor Q3 is on, the output voltage is pull up to the high state here. And the other condition, if you take, one of the input is at low state and the other input is at high state. In this condition, the lower input, because of the lower input, the transistor Q1 is still on. It will be on. So when the transistor Q1 is on, the voltage of the transistor Q1, collector voltage of the transistor Q1 is dropped. So when the voltage is dropped, that insufficient voltage cannot drive the transistor Q2, which means the transistor Q2 is now off. For which condition? Low and high state condition. So since the transistor is off, now the collector voltage of the transistor Q2 is raised to the approximately VCC value, or maybe a moderate value, maybe say around 3 volts also. So this 3 volts now will drive the transistor Q5 and Q3. So when the transistor Q3 is turned on, the output is pulled up to the high state value. So this is the circuit description for the high speed NAND gate 74H00. And now see the low power NAND gate of the TTL. So the low power NAND gate is the part of the series 74L00. Now what is the difference between the low power and high power? What is the difference between the low power and high power? Observe the resistor values. Observe the resistor values here. 40 kilo ohm, 20 kilo ohm, 500 ohm and 12 ohm, 12 kilo ohm. Now observe the NAND gate resistors. The NAND gate resistors, I mean the high speed. For high speed, you observe the resistor values 2.8 kilo ohm, 760 ohm, 58 ohm. So in this low power, we have increased the resistor values here. In the low power NAND gate, we have increased the resistor values. Because of these higher resistor values, the propagation delay, because of these higher resistor values, the power dissipation will be reduces here. The power dissipation will be reduces. If you have a lower value of resistor and having the higher currents, that will dissipate more heat. But if you have a higher current values with the higher resistor values, then the power dissipation will be comparatively low with the previous one. So if for the low power NAND gate, we have modified the resistor values to the higher values. Therefore, the power dissipation will be decreased at an expense of the power, at an expense of the propagation delay. When the power consumption is decreases, obviously the power, obviously the propagation delay will be increases here. Why? Because the time constant that depends on the RC, the value of the resistor, and the capacitor value of the load. Now here you have changed the resistor value. When you have changed the resistor value, which has an impact on the tau, which means that the propagation delay of the circuit will be increases. So that's why when you have a higher value of resistors in the circuit, the power consumption will be low at a expense of the propagation delay. Now, if you observe the circuit diagram of the low power NAND gate and the high speed NAND gate, the two circuits are almost identical, but in the case of the high speed, in the high speed NAND gate, we have the push-pull or totem pole output states. Sorry, we have the Darlington pair of the circuit. So it has a higher gain and the lower rise time. So because of that, there will be a fast switching speed at the output. But in the low power, we have the same configuration, but here we do not find any Darlington pair of configuration or any Darlington pair of the circuit. Here also we have the totem pole configuration, and in the previous also we have the totem pole. But along with the totem pole or the push-pull output, we have also the Darlington pair in the high speed. That is the observation we have to make here. So now coming to this circuit, the only difference between the low power NAND gate and the high speed NAND gate is change of resistor values. Here for low power, we have taken the higher resistor values. Because of that higher resistor values, it decreases the power consumption, but it increases the propagation delay. So now you will have the same explanation for this also. So let's see with the one or two combination of inputs. Let's take the both the inputs are at the lower values. When the two inputs are at logic low values, so here the transistor Q1 conducts only for the lower emitter values only. If you have a higher emitter voltage, the transistor will be in off state. So since the inputs at the A and B are the lower values, the transistor Q1 conducts. When the transistor Q1 conducts, the voltage of the Q1 collector is dropped, and that dropped voltage is insufficient to drive the transistor Q2. Therefore, the transistor Q2 will be off. So if the transistor Q2 is off, the voltage of the collector voltage of the transistor Q2 is rises to the VCC, approximately VCC or the moderate value of the VCC. So this collector voltage now drives the transistor Q3. When the transistor Q3 is on, the Q4 will be off. How this transistor Q4 will be off? Because the base of the Q4 is connected to the emitter, and the transistor Q2 is in off state. Therefore, there will not be any current in the emitter IE. So the transistor Q4 is off here. So when the transistor Q3 is turned on, so it pulls up the output voltage to the high state. And take the combination of inputs. Both inputs are low here. When the two inputs are at logic low, the transistor Q1 is in off state. Why it is in off state? Because the emitter terminals are at the higher voltages. For higher emitter voltages, the transistor Q1 is off. So when the transistor Q1 off, the voltage of the Q1, the voltage of the collector, the transistor Q1 collector is now increases here. How it will increases? because of this VCC to the 40 kilo ohm resistor. There will be a voltage drop. That voltage will be available here. And this voltage drives the transistor Q2 to on state here. It will drive the transistor Q2 to on. When the transistor Q2 is on, the voltage of the voltage at the collector of the Q2 will be dropped, and the collector and the emitter current will increases here. And this emitter current is now drives the transistor Q4, and where the transistor Q3 is in off. When the transistor Q4 is in on, it pull downs the output to the logic low value, that is 0 volts. Just simply it makes the short circuit output, and this point, these 2 points are at same potential, 0 volts. So the output is pulled down to the 0 volt here. So the concept is same. In TTL logic family, for circuit description, we will split the circuit into 3 functional parts. That is the common point to any logic gate in the TTL. The 3 circuit parts are input circuit, phase splitter, output stage. Input circuit may be in NAND gate, we are using the diode AND gate. And in the case of the NOR, we are using the diode with the transistor in the phase splitter, parallel transistors. But here all the time we are taking the example as the only the NAND gate, which is the basic gate for the TTL. Once if you understand this NAND gate, we can realize the other gates in the TTL logic family. Say, for example, if you want to obtain the TTL OR gate or TTL AND gate. So for how we can obtain the TTL AND gate? By taking an inverter circuit. By taking an inverter circuit, see this one. So at this output, we will connect an inverter circuit. If you connect an inverter at the output of this NAND gate, now the output of the transistor, it gives the TTL AND gate output. So once if you understand the NAND gates in the TTL, we can easily obtain the other gates of the TTL logic family. That is about the low power NAND gate 74L00 and high speed NAND gate 74H00. These are the standard or the earlier TTL logic family NAND gates. And in the morning section, we have discussed LS, low power Schottky TTL NOR gate. They are advanced to the 74L and 74H here. They are advanced to the 74L and 74H. So did you understand these 4 circuits? We respond. Did you understand these 4 circuits? So did you understand these 4 circuits? Hello? Emma Manasa?
Yes, sir.
అర్థమైందా? ఈ 4 సర్క్యూట్స్ ఒకటే కైండ్ ఆఫ్ ఆపరేషన్ వస్తుంది, బట్ స్లైట్ గా సర్క్యూట్ కాన్ఫిగరేషన్స్ అనేవి మాడిఫై అవుతున్నాయి. సో అది మీరు అబ్జర్వ్ చేయాలి. ఓకే, ఆల్మోస్ట్ ద 4 సర్క్యూట్స్ ఆర్ ఇన్ ఏ సిమిలర్ వే. అందుకనే మీరు బాగా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి, సర్క్యూట్స్ అనేవి ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయాలి మీరు. ఎందుకంటే ఎగ్జామ్ టైంలో కన్ఫ్యూజ్ అవుతారు. చూడండి, ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఇప్పుడు మనం డిస్కస్ చేసిన 4 సర్క్యూట్స్ కూడా దే ఆర్ ఐడెంటికల్ విత్ ఈచ్ అదర్, ఒకేలాగా ఉన్నాయి చూడటానికి. బట్ స్మాల్ మోడిఫికేషన్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఒక చోట ఏమో డయోడ్స్ వాడాం, ఒక చోట మల్టీ ఎమిటర్ ట్రాన్సిస్టర్ వాడాం, ఒక చోట డార్లింగ్టన్ పేర్ వాడాం, ఒక చోట ఏమో పుష్ పుల్ అవుట్పుట్ స్టేజ్ వాడుతున్నాం. సో కాబట్టి మీరంతా ఏంటంటే ట్రై టు గివ్ ది హ్యాండ్ ప్రాక్టీస్ ఫర్ these gates so that you can remember the circuits and you can easily answer for these questions. And the next one we will discuss the TTL logic families. In the mornings we have briefed the TTL logic families. So here the first the original TTL family of logic gates was introduced in the year 1960. This TTL logic family came into the picture in the year 1960, which was released by the Semiconductor Devices, the company, sorry, National Instruments. And they are identifying these TTL logic families with a part number of the 74 series that we have seen in the morning also. 74XX series. So here, and even if you concluding if we are concluding the TTL NAND gate circuits, in all these circuits, you can make one observation that the values of the resistor values are changing here. If you have a knee note on all these circuits, in these circuits, whatever we have discussed now in previously, whatever we have discussed, if you observe those circuits, there you can find the change in the resistor values here. So the original TTL logic family is the 74 series. It is the 74 series. And by changing the values of, by changing the resistor values in the original TTL circuit, we were obtained two more logic families here. The two more logic families are 74L TTL, low power transistor logic, and 74H TTL, high speed transistor logic. So what is the difference between the low power and high speed? In the low power TTL, higher resistor values are used. Higher resistor values are used. Just now we have observed that. Because in the low power NAND gate, we have used the higher resistor values. So in the low power TTL, we use the higher resistor values to reduce the power consumption at an expense of the propagation delay. The drawback with this low power TTL is it increases the propagation delay. And the second is high speed TTL. So in high speed TTL, we use the lower resistor values to reduce the propagation delay. If you have a lower resistor value, then the tau value will be obviously reduced. So therefore, at the switching times, so it will fastly change its states here. So in this high speed TTL, lower resistor values are used to reduce the propagation delay at an expense of the power consumption here. Okay, so when you have reduced when you have decreased the resistor values, now it will increase the power dissipation here. So depending on the user requirement, depending on the user required circuit, the user can choose either low power TTL or high speed TTL. So these logic families are used till 1970. 1960 they were introduced. Till 1970, these logic families are used, 74L and 74H, low power TTL and high speed TTL. But after the 1970s, the development of the Schottky transistors, it is possible to have all these, the low power and high speed. These two are available on a single logic family now here. That is the 74S TTL, Schottky TTL. After the development of the Schottky transistor, we have this 74S TTL, Schottky transistor logic. So now what is the advantage or what are the drawbacks with this Schottky TTL here? The advantage with the Schottky TTL is high speed. You are getting the high speed. But the drawback with this Schottky TTL is higher power consumption here. Advantage is high speed. And the disadvantage with this is high power consumption. So after this 74S TTL, we have 74LS TTL. That is what we which is we have discussed in the morning session. Low power TTL, low power TTL, LS, low power Schottky TTL. So in this low power Schottky TTL, so we use the higher resistor values. We use the higher resistor values. The resistor values are changed to the higher values. So here the low power Schottky transistor. So here the low power transistor has the less power consumption than the original series of the 74LL TTL and 74H TTL and 74S TTL. And parallelly we have the after this LS, parallel we have the 74AS TTL, advanced Schottky TTL here. So what is the advantage with this advanced Schottky here? What is the advantage with the benefit with the advanced Schottky TTL? The speed is twice than the 74 TTL and the 74 STTL. So here, and the AS advanced Schottky has twice of the speed here with the same power requirement. At the same power requirement, it has the double of the speed here. So that is the advantage with the AS TTL here. So here the low power is low power consumption, and here the AS is high speed, double of the speed for the 74 STTL. And after 74, after A4, after 74 AS, we have the 74 ALS TTL, advanced low power Schottky. So now the benefit is with this, the benefit with this advantage is high speed, low power. The figure of merit is very high for this advanced low power Schottky here. The figure of merit, that is it has a high speed and the low power here, high speed and low power. And now the recent technology is FTTL, fast TTL. So by using the fabrication technique, the modern fabrication technique, so we will reduce the interconnect capacitances here. So in this 74F TTL, so we have used modern fabrication techniques to reduce the interconnect capacitances here. So when you reduce the interconnection capacitances, so the device will be working with the fast speed here. So the 74F TTL is the fast TTL here. And for this 74F TTL, the average propagation delay is 3 nanoseconds and the power consumption is 6 millivolts here. So this is the recent one that is we are using here present. So these are all the TTL logic families here. There may be a question that explain the TTL logic families in your exam, maybe. So in that case, you need to explain all these properties of these TTL logic families. So these are the TTL logic families here. TTL logic families. So did you understand these TTL logic families here? Because even you can observe here for the low speed, high power. Okay. In the circuit diagram, if you observe, the resistor values are lower values for the high speed, and for the lower power, the resistor values are higher values. So this is about the TTL logic families here. And the next one, we will see the bipolar logic characteristics. Already we have discussed CMOS logic characteristics, static and dynamic characteristics. Similarly, For the for the bipolar logic also, we will have the static characteristics and the dynamic characteristics. The static characteristics are the steady state characteristics, dynamic characteristics. So here we will discuss the bipolar logic characteristics. For today's session, we will discuss the two characteristics and we will discuss the other characteristics in the next class. Bipolar logic. In any logic family, there are a range of voltages used to represent the logic 0, and there are the another overlapping voltage ranges used to represent the logic 1. So now in this bipolar logic, for logic 0 or for logic low state, the range of voltages represented are 0 to 0.8. Any voltage between the 0 to 0.8, that represents the logic 0 or logic low value in the bipolar logic. And the logic 1 is represented, any voltage between the 2 to 5 volts will be represented as the logic 1 in the bipolar logic levels. Or you can say that in TTL logic family. In TTL logic family also you will have the same logic levels. And the next one are the voltage logic levels. So for more precisely to define the logic 0 and logic 1 at input and output of the gate, we will require the voltage logic levels. So to more precisely to define the logic 0, logic 1 at the input and output of the gate, we require the voltage logic levels. So usually the device manufacturers will specify these voltage parameters, and the voltage parameters are, the voltage logic levels are VIH. We know what is a VIH. VIH minimum. It is the minimum voltage required for the logic 1 at input. So for TTL logic family, the minimum voltage required or the minimum voltage to be guaranteed for a logic 1 at the input is 2 volts. Any voltage below the 2 voltage or any voltage below the 2 volts, it will not be accepted as a logic 1 at the input of the TTL gate. And the next one, VIL maximum. So this is the maximum voltage to be guaranteed or to be recognized as a logic 0 at the input here. So for TTL logic family, the 0.8 volts are the minimum it is the maximum voltage to be recognized as a logic 0. Any voltage greater than the 0.8 volts, it will not be accepted as a logic 0 at the input of the TTL. And the VOH, it is the minimum voltage required for logic 1 at the output here. So the range of, so here the voltage is 2.7 volt for the TTL logic family. So any voltage below the 2.7 volt, it will not be guaranteed as a logic 1 at the output of the TTL. And the last one, VOL, maximum voltage required for logic 0 at the output here. So at the output stage, the logic 0 is recognized as when the voltage, when the output voltage, it must be below the 0.5 or the 0.5 volts. So these are the voltage logic levels of the bipolar logic family. The parameters are common to the CMOS logic and the bipolar logic. The only thing here, it is in the point of the voltage ranges here. That is voltage logic levels. Now, DC noise margins here. As we know that the noise margin is the measure of the noise immunity, where the noise immunity is the circuit ability to tolerate the noise without changing the output voltage. It is the maximum voltage that can be tolerated by the circuit without affecting the output voltage. And the noise margins are two types, or there are two noise margins are there: high state DC noise margin and the low state DC noise margin. And the high state DC margin is the difference between the VOH minimum minus VIH minimum. That is the minimum output voltage to the minimum input voltage. And for the low state DC noise margin, so here the low state DC margin is the difference between the maximum input voltage to the maximum output voltage. So which is nothing but the difference between the voltage parameters that can realize as the two DC noise margins. They are the high state DC noise margin and the low state DC noise margin. Now see the DC noise margins for the bipolar logic, TTL logic. We know the logic levels, logic 0 and logic 1 range of voltages. From these voltages, they have defined the 4 voltage parameters: VOH minimum, VIH minimum, VIL maximum, VOL maximum. So now what is the high state DC noise margin? It is the difference between the VOH minimum minus VIH minimum. So now what is the high state DC noise margin value for a BJT logic or for a transistor logic? It is 0.7 volt here. It is 0.7 volt. And if you remember, for CMOS, this DC noise margin value is 1.4 volts. It is the double of this value. And now what is the low state DC noise margin? So the low state DC noise margin is the difference between the maximum input, the maximum output voltage to the maximum input voltage, low voltages. So that is the maximum input voltage is 0.8 here, and the maximum OL is the 0.5 here. So now what is the low state DC noise margin value here? It is 0.3 volts here. But if you remember, for CMOS logic circuit, the low state DC noise margin is also 1.4 volts. So now you can see which is the better logic family, which is the better logic family here. So for bipolar logic family, the noise margins are very low, whereas for the CMOS logic family, the logic families are the moderate or good values here. So this is the DC noise margins and the logic levels and the voltage logic levels and the DC noise margins of the bipolar logic circuits or TTL logic circuits. So here we will conclude for today's session. So in this session, we have discussed high speed 2-input NAND gate 74H00, and we have discussed low power 2-input NAND gate 74L00, and we have discussed the TTL logic families. What are the different TTL logic families are available, so that we have discussed, and we have discussed the logic levels and the DC noise margins of the bipolar logic here. We have discussed the characteristic logic levels and the noise margin levels. In the next class, we will continue the bipolar logic characteristics. Almost we will compare these values with the CMOS logic, because for any logic family, we will take the steady state characteristics and we will discuss the dynamic characteristics. The only thing how they are performing in the circuit is important. So, and which is the better logic family. So for today, we will conclude here and we will continue in the next class. If you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we can end the meeting. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions?